What's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to be taking a look at one of the most stylish training shoes ever, in my opinion. You know, aesthetics aren't the most important thing, but they're pretty damn important. And when you have a shoe that you feel good about how it looks from a toe down view, you like what you see, and then you like what you feel on your foot as well as how they perform, it's just a winning situation. And that's how I feel about the Nike METCON 6. So in this video, we're going to go in depth. We're going to take a look at the construction and discuss what it's good for, what it's not so good for, and my personal experiences with it. So stay tuned. Real quick, we're going to be breaking down the camo shoe. That's the one I train in the most. But for those of you that didn't see my first look at the METCON X, what the METCONs, I do have these as well. I have trained in them a few times, but when it comes to the METCON 6, they are not the primary shoe I train in. That is where the camo, or black and gum as it's called, comes into play. So let's take a look. So as usual, we will start off on the bottom. So it is a dual density rubber. Here on the front, you have a much more sticky rubber. This is a lot more pliable grooves here. So it really bites to the concrete. And then you have a much more firm, sturdy rubber in the midfoot and heel that's designed to really help you feel planted when you're rocking back into those heels. And then you do have the wraparound for rope climbs, which is a useless feature for me personally, as I don't do rope climbs, but it is something that separates the shoe aesthetically, if nothing else, from all other shoes on the market, because they do have it creates the X design pattern for the METCON, where it's lockdown, fit and feel, traction, and so on, the whole story behind that. But moving into the midsole, it's still the traditional dual density polyurethane drop-in midsole that the METCON line was known for up until the METCON React and the METCON 7. So this is a bit more squishy, bouncy, responsive polyurethane in the front. There are some flex grooves in it as well, and it's much more dense in the heel for firmness and stability. It's quite stable in the heel. Heel strikes do have a little bit of discomfort. It takes a long time for this midsole to break in, but you do have a decent amount of bounce and responsiveness in the mid to forefoot of this drop-in insole. And then moving right along into this upper, it is a multi-layered mesh. You can literally see right through the holes in the mesh. You'll be able to see my fingers moving back and forth. So breathability is not an issue. If you tend to get heated, your feet get heated up, they sweat, they'll definitely be able to air out pretty well in these. There's a lot of breathability throughout. And then there are some synthetic overlays for spots that need extra durability, high wear areas, going around into the toe, as you can see, for toe offs and stuff like that. It does wrap around. You do have that same softer rubber on the front for toe offs and movements of that nature. Moving into the midfoot, you have fly wire. You can see it throughout almost all of the lacing holes, so that it actually does wrap underfoot, so it completely encages the midfoot to really lock your foot into place and hold it down into the midsole. You do have a little bit of padding in the tongue, but it's relatively thin overall. They do have some different branding and writing and stuff like that in there. Squats, rope climbs. It's got all these different details on it, but not the most important thing in the world, but extremely breathable, very secure in the lockdown in the midfoot. Now in the heel, as we move around to the heel. So the heel cup is not real high up. I don't really start to feel it till I get right about here. So it's a lower heel cup. So if you don't have a snug fit on your shoe, you could potentially have some heel slippage. I do feel my heel moving a little bit. This is my true size of 8.5 with Nike training shoes, and they do fit really well. I do have a little bit of room in the toe box. I would say about 1/3 of an inch, maybe close to 1/2 an inch, which is perfect for me because these do have a pretty athletic fit and feel, but there's enough room to where the metal tarsals don't really get torn into the material or anything like that. It's not too snug, but it's also not too loose of a fit to where the toes and the midfoot and the front ball of my foot can move around too much to create any friction. So lockdown, I don't seem to have an issue. There is a little bit of slip because it's such a low cut, and I could see some having issue with it, but I personally don't have enough. But it's noticeable enough, the movement, to where I felt it was worthy of discussing when we got down to the fit and the construction of the shoe. So be mindful of that. Definitely try these on first if you can to make sure you get the right size for your particular foot, because the last is very athletic. Don't get me wrong, it does fit the foot very well, but heel slippage, depending on the shape of your foot, could be an issue or could be a non-issue completely. And then another useless feature for me is this TPU heel clip in the back. This is actually designed for when you're doing handstands up against the wall. The shoe will slide nice and easy up against the wall. So I don't do rope climbs. I don't do the handstand push-ups. So that's relatively useless for me. But overall, the construction and the design and aesthetic of this shoe, it's a good looking training shoe. This was the main color I wanted to have, this camo black and gum colorway with almost a volt type of color. It's not quite the high-vis yellow volt that Nike uses, but it's close. I think that's a slick looking shoe. The toe down view on them is very cool because it's a camo and black colorway. It goes with everything. And the fit, feel, and construction, I think, are premium, A1. As long as you don't snag the looser spots on the mesh on anything, I don't think you'll have too much durability with them tearing. I have seen people with tears in their shoe. I've had no issues thus far. So lifting, that's always the most important thing, right? Power lifts, Olympic lifts, these are great. These are great. There's a 4mm heel to toe drop. They're a low stack, as you saw from the drop-in midsole when I pulled it out. They do come with these hyper lifters that add an additional 3mm to make it 7mm heel to toe. This is almost, it feels like a TPU plastic, so it's very firm. Actually, it's plus 8mm, my apologies, is what it says on the bag. I don't use them. I don't need to. I like the lower to the ground feel. I don't need to be up on my toes. I don't do a lot of snatches and stuff like that. It's more about squats and deadlifts for me when it comes to power movements. So with squats and deadlifts, I have no issue. I have no problem staying in my heel. They're very secure and stable to the ground. There's no side-to-side slipping. There's nothing. I mean, it's one of those things to where you don't even, the shoe's not mindful. You're not mindful of the shoe at all when you're squatting or when you're deadlifting. If you have to be mindful of it, that's because you're dealing with some slippage, some compression, something like that, that's creating an instability. I never have to worry about that in the Nike Metcon 6. This is just as stable as the Metcon has been over the years, as it's traditionally known to be. If you're looking for a great lifting shoe, and Olympic movements are kind of your thing, but you need the versatility where you like to do other styles outside of just power lifts, you like to incorporate different types of cardiovascular work or plyometrics and stuff like that, or you like to take classes, that's where a shoe like this will come in. Yes, I know it's predominantly known for being a great CrossFit shoe. I mean, it's in the name. Metcon stands for metabolic conditioning, which CrossFit style workouts are for metabolic conditioning. Build muscle, increase endurance, and burn fat. That's what metabolic conditioning is. The shoes are named after it because they're built to be as versatile as possible. It shines in most situations, but there is one particular situation that this shoe's not great for. But as far as Olympic lifts and power lifts, it's a great shoe. Plyometrics, running, cardiovascular style movements, agility, stuff like that. This is where it's good and it's bad because it's a combined category. So when it comes to plyometrics, being up on your toes, flexibility, side to side lateral movements, this stuff's really good. Sprints, I think it does pretty well. If you can stay up on your toes and not really heel strike, you're fine. Box jumps and things like that, these are a pleasure. I don't really get any foot fatigue or foot pain from going up and down on box jumps. I do incorporate that quite a bit, at least weekly, at least once a week. I'll do different style box jumps, whether it's side to side, straight up and down, high vertical, continuous lower box jumps. There's some variety involved in my workouts, and this handles it no problem. Both pairs of the METCON 6 that I have been through my plyometric workouts with box jumps and stuff like that. Now, running. That's where they're not that great. So I do get some foot fatigue, a little bit of foot pain when I jog on the treadmill in these. When I do sprints, 40 yards down and back, no issues whatsoever because it's quick burst there, quick burst back, rest for a minute, do it a couple more times, and that's it. Whereas continuous running and staying on your toes or the inevitable heel strike, because I do heel strike. I unconsciously heel strike without realizing it. I have to make it a point to stay on my toes if I don't want to heel strike. And it's best to try not to heel strike in these because it's so stable and firm, not just from the rubber compound, but the dense polyurethane portion of the midsole in the heel really add a little bit of foot fatigue and discomfort. Do they get better as they break in? Yes. I mean, this is the same midsole as my older Metcons that are much more broken in than this one. It does get more cushioned. It does get better. The foot fatigue will subside. But through the first several, and I mean several workouts, running is going to be, it's a growing pains type of thing where you have to break them in because your foot's going to work a lot harder in these. You're going to work all the different tendons and ancillary muscles in your foot if you run in these. Light runs, 5Ks, I can't dream of doing a 5K in this shoe, but light jogging on the treadmill, high incline work with a 3.5, 4 mile an hour pace of power walking. I still get a little bit of foot fatigue doing stuff like that, but it's mostly in the light jogs where I'm doing 6 to 7 miles an hour incline to around 6. After a minute or so, my foot will start to feel it, and it's definitely not the best choice for that. If you incorporate a lot of running into your exercise regimen, this is not going to be a good shoe for you. Casual bodybuilding. So casually, they're okay to walk around with just randomly, especially once they're broken in, as long as you're not putting 8 to 10 hours on your feet in these shoes every day. I think you'll be okay. I mean, I'm wearing some Metcon 2s casually right now that are very broken in, to give you a prime example, and it's the same damn midsole pretty much that's in this shoe. So it all depends on your foot, your day, your activity level, and what you're going to do. It comes down to personal taste and preference and your foot shape and activity level, I guess you could say, because aesthetically I think they look great. They'll definitely stand out in an outfit regardless of what colorway, even just all black with anthracite gray. They stand out. They're a good looking shoe. This is the best looking Metcon ever made, in my opinion, is the Metcon 6. Not just this colorway specifically. They got a ton of great colorways. This is just a sharp looking shoe. The way it's designed, I dig it. Now, bodybuilding workouts, same thing. So if you're comfortable enough to wear it casually, you'll definitely be more than comfortable enough to work the cables, grabbing dumbbells, barbell movements on benches, different hammer strength machines. You'll be all good. Leg days, this is a great shoe. The flexibility is there, working calves, because that's a big thing for me, is I got to have good front, forefoot flex, because I work my calves twice a week now. Instead of just doing once a week, over the last several weeks, I've incorporated it to twice a week to really catch up the imbalance of the way my quads and hamstrings are versus the weaker calves. And, things like that, working on imbalances is always a positive thing. And you need the right shoe for situations like that, because at the end of the day, these shoes are a tool, just like a weightlifting belt, just like lifting straps. The right shoe for the right job is a tool in the gym, just like everything else you're going to use in the gym. So for bodybuilding and casual, I think they're perfectly fine. That is a personal preference thing, but for me, I wear Metcons casually all the time. My final thoughts and some pricing. So you can find these. I got these for right around $100 a while back. I think I paid like $10 or $15 more for the Metcon X, the Metcons, the crazy colorway. You can find them even cheaper than that in some places, down to even to $80 for certain colorways. But $80 to $100 is what you can expect to pay. With the 7s having been out for a while, there's a lot of colorways of the Metcon 7 out. If you check your Nike factory stores, Nike outlets, you might be able to catch these on the wall for $60, $70 in some instances after a weekend discount and stuff like that. So just keep your eyes peeled. If anything about this shoe interests you, shop around. You can find a pretty good deal on these, and these are built to take a beating. These shoes will last you a long time. Even if you're rough on these shoes, they can handle it. It takes a lot to beat this shoe to hell. Okay? Depending on how harsh you are with your feet and how much toe drag and heel drag and everything is going to depend on how long it lasts, but it's built to take a beating. That's the beauty of the Nike Metcon line. And the Metcon 6, while a little bit more fragile because of the light mesh here than previous models, if you're really, really harsh on a shoe, maybe this one's not the best choice for you because of all the mesh. Maybe the Metcon 5 would be a little better. That can take more of a beating than this, and it's on the same last and outsole design. So it's up to you. Definitely try them on before you buy them. I think they're at a great budget price point for what you get, because these shoes, like I said, for the most part, they're very durable and they can take a beating. It can be that one shoe that you wear to the gym all the time to where you don't wear anything else, and commuting to and from the gym, you can wear it casually, whatever have you. I think it's a great shoe overall. Just as long as you don't use your shoes for a lot of running, you'll need specific shoes for running if you're a runner. If you're a runner, you're a runner. You already know that. You already have your gaits, a certain gait with your shoes and all that, the way your gait is with your stride. Runners are serious about their stuff, So, but if you're the type that's a bit more casual with your style of workout and you do a little bit of everything, this is one of the best little bit of everything shoes ever made. Well, that is my in-depth look at the Nike Metcon 6. Until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of you have a pair of the Metcon 6? How have they worked out for you? I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys down in the comments. I hope this video was helpful in some way. Like I said, as long as you don't do a ton of running, this is a great shoe. If you're looking for a versatile training shoe, yes, it's designed for CrossFit, but I believe it's just as good of a cross trainer as it is CrossFit. So when it comes to sprints and doing plyometrics and stuff like that, where you're not just strictly doing a CrossFit metabolic conditioning routine, and you do incorporate a lot of different types of philosophies into your workouts, I'm telling you, in my opinion, one of the best shoes out there. And until next time, I will say, if you grab the Metcon 6 and you incorporate it into your workouts, who knows? You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.